I did print it because I was at the office this afternoon reading through it. So, it's just like.
Call the meeting to order for August 10th. Janelle, please take the order. Have you roll?
Councilmember Barker. Here. Councilmember Brown. Here. Councilmember Lowell. Here. Councilmember Michelson.
Here.
And Mayor Gibson.
Here. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment on anything that's not on the agenda? Just come up, say who you are, sign in, where you live.
My name is Diane Snedeker. I'm here on behalf of the North Valley Public Library. Thank you for your time tonight. The library trustees feel it's important to share a little history with you about the library and to address some feedback over the recent announcement concerning a potential relocation. The library where it stands today has been there since 1991. The Rasmussen building was donated to the town of Stevensville by Norma and Ken Bangs for the sole purpose use of a library on January 29th of 1991. In 1998, the North Valley Public Library purchased the Kellogg building. In 2001, the North Valley Public Library became an independent library and the agreement to transfer county and town assets took place in December of 2004. In 2006, the library did run a levy due to lack of income to cover expenses. This was the only time that the North Valley Library sought out any additional income for operating expenses. Less than 5 years ago, there was a permissive levy to cover rising costs of health insurance. Having the library near the park would make it a destination for families to spend more time at the park, to spend time at the library, and to bring others that normally don't to enjoy it all it has to offer. There are studies that have been conducted by the Kentucky University's Recreation and Parks Administration that cite the Center of Disease Control and Penn State by controlling and improving and promoting places to be physically active can improve health by 25%. Equally as significant is the role of the public library in the life of its community. Today, modern libraries play an integral part of everyday life for many, offering an array of multifaceted resources and opportunities to connect people to the world and community to one another. A gathering place for classes, exhibits, talks, special events, opportunities to pursue interests or learn something that they never have heard of. Ability to get together is a valuable component of a successful community. Showing an increase in one's confidence in having access to materials, resources, and for promoting literacy, improving the overall quality of life. Not to mention today's youth who spend more of their fair share of screen time. Libraries and parks are perfect partners. A good example of this is the Hamilton Library that has a little park right next to their library that the community loves. Bitterroot Library is able to have children's activities in the park. The North Valley Library would love to have the same, to have adult crafts and hands-on programs in the park, as well as children's story times and science and art projects. Last week, we had an Animal Wonder program here at the North Valley Library. It's a perennial favorite, where they bring live exotic animals. Animal Wonders get books booked out, so where we have to turn people away. There's not enough space. If the library was in the park, we could easily have access to the animal wonders, as the Bitterroot does, and have more people enjoy the show. At our last meeting, Mr. Thomas spoke of the airport. The airport location is a great distance from town, and although the offer sounds hard to pass up, I would have concerns about having the youth commute there safely. Let alone the traffic on the East Side Highway is dangerous enough in a car, let alone throwing kids on their bike too. I have a problem with that. I have concerns. In addition, the condensed population exists in town. I think we're all aware that Lewis and Clark Park is not just the only one in town. There's 3 others. With softball and soccer fields no longer being used at Lewis and Clark, would this not provide a great way to repopulate the park with other options? In the 50s and 60s, the park was leased out to a local saddle club, and a rodeo arena was constructed on site. With the deed stating that the park was to be kept a park and playground, I understand this was back then, but it did happen. The question would be, how was the deed navigated at that time? At the last meeting, there was a mention of that we could not do it for a bike camp. We can't do it for a library. The library is a municipality. It's not a bike camp. I'd like to touch base on one other facet of the park that provides, and that's Creamery Picnic. It was very successful this year, and we don't want to discount that in any way. However, I recall many years ago the fight with Main Street and businesses and the Civic Club. The businesses felt that they lost out on business opportunities. This would not necessarily put all activities from either location if it was strategically planned to merge the events of the day, and would give better exposure to all entities in town, and everyone would benefit. The park would still have plenty of space for various vendors to sell goods or to have other events during the event. The trustees of the library are committed to fiscal responsibility. To the end of the proposal of using the parkland represents a huge savings to the taxpayers. If the park is not voted in, the library will seek other alternatives that effectively will cost more. And it may include water and septic services over $350,000, plus the cost of the land. The library trustees, along with the Library Foundation, are very open to discussions with the park board, Civic Club, community members, and the council, as we feel this would create a beneficial community complex to our town. We would like to schedule an open house soon. I personally would like to invite all of you to join us. All of you. This event will be scheduled in the next few weeks, and we'll be sending out notification at that time. The library is open to all. I encourage all of you to stop by. Take a look at what we have to offer despite our circumstances here. The choice is to make this happen is the voters. They're the ones who will speak for us. I want to thank you again for your time. I'd also like to, if possible, I'd like to have Denise, the library director, follow me with a brief statement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Denise Hard, I'm the big library director. And my teen librarian said something to me today, and I just wanted to share it. So she speaks to teens all the time during her teen programs, and she told me today that many teens, when they go to Lewis and Clark Park, have reported to her that they get harassed, bullied. The girls say they get catcalls and are sometimes followed. And many teens feel like they can only go in groups to the park, and it's not safe for individual teens. And I believe the presence of the library would increase teen safety in the park. It would mean more adults would be around and it would be safer for all ages. And if girls are being fouled or a teen or a child felt threatened, they could go to the library for safety and even ask library staff for assistance. So that's what I wanted to add.
Thank you. Any other public comment? What you say, just come on up.
Mark Adams, 610 East Second Street. And I agree with these two people. That building should have been condemned in the 1950s when Bob Rasmussen ran his store in it. But it wasn't, and it's still around. And yes, there needs to be a newer, better, bigger facility. But the question I have, and I think is probably first on a lot of people's mind, is who's gonna pay? And the answer to that is it's a public facility. We all get to pay. And my wife and I got a letter from the State Department of Revenue just recently about our property taxes. And this is only an estimate, but in that estimate, our property taxes would go up by double. Okay, from one year to the next, double is a really big increase. And it's a reasonably safe bet that my wife and I will not vote yes on any proposal that adds multi-million dollars to our tax burden. And I know the same property that we own on Second Street, if it was in Missoula, the property taxes would be 4 times higher. And in Hamilton, they'd only be 3 times higher. But this is Stevensville. And like I say, the property tax situation at the moment is untenable. So that's the thing that I would say the library board has to come up with, is an alternate form of funding. And I don't know if they've consulted with the senior center or any places along Main Street, like the people that own the old feed mill down at the end of Main Street. Maybe we're not being viable by doing that, but somehow, some way, it's got to happen. And I don't see any way for it to happen under the current situation.
Just for your information, Mark, you weren't here last week. The library talked about they would not be doing a bond, it would be all private donations, so.
Okay,
And
well-
you might want to look at our website in regards to your question about the property taxes. There's a lot of confusion on that.
right.
And we have on our website from the Taxpayers Association, all sorts of other people, that what it appears is not what it's going to be.
Right, we understand that, but I would say,
That
yeah.
information.
concerning your point about the private donations, I would say that the Stevensville Community Foundation has been trying for 3 decades to build a community center up by the school. It ain't there. So I don't know where they're gonna get the private funding, but
Thank you. Any other public comment? Go ahead.
I just
And then,
can't,
I'm sorry, you're next.
oh.
No, that's fine. Go ahead, Victoria.
I couldn't resist just making a couple of comments. I think there's some confusion about the idea of a vote. The vote is for the people to decide whether they would want to gift the land to the library. It has nothing to do with taxes. And as far as private donations and grants go, a library is quite a bit different than a private community center. We we are tax funded, that's how we operate. You are already paying a tax for the library, everybody in our district, both in town and outside. And a library, I believe, has a lot more, or quite a few opportunities for funding that the community center just didn't have. Grants and private donations from foundations because, you know, a library is a pretty well-known institution that most people feel is pretty darn important. So, thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment, come on
So I agree that having a public library is really important. I've spent a lot of time in libraries in my time. My name is Jim Battisti. I live at 201 Mission, right immediately adjacent to the park. I bought the park or the house in 2004. So my kids, I got two of them, I can play up and grow. And they're moved out now. But for almost 20 years, I've seen the progress on this park. So I think maybe I could be a good resource for you to, you know, if you need it. But my opinion, and here goes, and with all due respect to the people who hold, and it is important, I'm a scientist, information is important. I've seen it grow from a pool and two pavilions, and there was that old tractor out there, right? Some big old tires, that's all that was there. Now we got Bear Mountain, Cub Cave, pickleball, skate park, splash park, you know, all these things are good, right? It's good to see people having fun. Fun is contagious, that's what the park is for, right? Saturday in the park. However, each one of these projects takes away a little bit of open space that we all have, that now designates it to that purpose of a cub, whatever, or you know, and people like it. And I don't skate, I don't do the cub park thing, don't swim, but it's what you're supposed to have in a park, right? So it seems like many of these, if not all of them, have been from private donors or grants and in the apparent interest of the public. And I understand that completely. And I agree to everything that's done up in the park to this date. It's great. Especially the new things on the outside of the public restroom. They're cool. I met the lady, very nice. However, I woke up this morning, I read the paper, and it said you're gonna put a public library in the park right behind my house and take up more public space. And I fumed. I come up here, I talked to some people up here, tried to calm down, said write it down and say it to people who might have making decision making. So I'm about halfway through here. Thank you for your time. But I'm a little bit upset because if you look inside the bathroom, that's nicely painted on the outside. It looks and smells like a New York City subway rat on the inside, okay? Wads of toilet paper, graffiti, it's in there. You can look, I was there this morning. Why isn't this a priority of upkeep of this public space before deciding this new public space to take away from the people? The Splash Park sponsor, excuse me, did not apparently, the Splash Park sponsors did not apparently recognize that. There was a significant amount of time that's required by the townspeople to upkeep that thing on a daily basis. I see them all day long out my back door taking care of the Splash Park. All right, so now, the public building. It's gonna take away 2/3 of the remaining open space in that park. Fill it with another grant or individual funded project with an unknown responsibility of who's responsible for that result, okay? So if this was a good move, like all the other ones, I wouldn't be here. But this is not a good move, in my opinion, to build a library. Why? All right. So to get an idea of what is going to be upgraded from what is existing right now in the library, I went up there today. Have you recently? Exactly the same thing that you see as if you were in 2004 or maybe before that. So what's there? Have you been to a Blockbuster Video lately? Really? So yeah, Blockbuster Videos, they're gone, right? Why? Why are they gone? Because the things that are in them aren't interested in the public anymore. So what do you go and see there now? You see DVDs. You need a DVD player for that. What do people most days use today? Internet. You don't need a DVD player or any of the DVDs in there. So now I agree that access to affordable high-speed internet is something that the library provides, as well as several other publicly interest things, but it's not a place where you're going to put a bunch of out-of-date books. And the problem here is, I only have a little bit more, right? Thanks a lot. That the cost of publications now. So I'm a scientist from the university. They have restrictions now on what they can buy there and put on the shelves. It's all electronic. So really, whatever is going to be in this new library, you can't afford to put any new material in it. It's all going to have to be, if it is new, electronic. So you're going to be looking at a bunch of screens. All the books that are there are so outdated. It smells like old rugs. I mean, seriously. You're going to go and take away public land from all of us and put a housing facility for out-of-date books. That's the way I see it. So there's more. I probably take enough of your time, but one last thing, there's a lot of kid interest in this talk, right? And so the public places that kids have now, which I disagree with those who are saying that kids are getting raped or whatever. I see this, there's problems, but they're kids. They're having fun, they're learning to grow. That's what a park is for also, see? So right now, you're gonna have to pay $12 if you have a kid to go down to the other free space, the river, right? That's available. So everybody's got to get a permit now to have a conservation license to go and have access to the river. So $12. So now you're taking away more free stuff from kids and trying to think that you're giving them something. They don't want to go into the library. They want to go to the park and play with football. Is there going to be room for football or baseball after this? Great. So, appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Go ahead.
I actually didn't come to talk about the library. If allowed, I just wanted to give some appreciation and say thank you. So my name is Sean Doyle, president of the Stevensville Civic Club here, 4324 Polly. Reason I came is I just wanted to come and say thank you. Creamery Picnic was pretty good success this year. And there are some town employees that we can't do it without. So number one, Chief Motley and the fire department, thank you for their participation and assistance. Chief Sosa, of course, you and your 3 officers. Can't do without you guys at all, quite frankly. Steve Lassiter from the Parks Department, Steve Cruz from Public Works are a huge help and asset. I feel they're a great asset to the town. And last but definitely not least, wealth of information on town protocol, information, rules, and keeps me out of trouble is Janelle. So I just want to come and say thank you, because without those groups of people with the town, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Thank you, Sean. Any other public comment? See none. We'll go to approval of minutes, 7/27/2023. Councilmember Michaels.
I make a motion to approve the town council meeting minutes of 7/27/2023.
Councilmember Lowell and Barker.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments on the minutes? Any further discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, Janelle, please take the vote.
Councilmember Barker.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown.
Aye.
Councilmember Lowell.
Aye.
And Councilmember Michelson.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. We'll go to approval of bi-weekly claims, 18,470 through 18,512. Do I have a motion? Councilmember Barker. Or Councilmember Brown, to approve the claims. We didn't vote.
Actually, our
There's some
claims
added
go
here.
to 818521,
Yeah, she had it. Yes.
so 12 is, it should be 21.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, she had it. So, Councilmember Michaels.
Make a motion to approve claims 18470, 18493 through 18498, 184,500 through 18421, 18521, excuse me.
Okay. Councilmember Brown.
I'll second.
Okay, any public comment on the claims? Any further discussion on the claims? Okay. Vote.
Yeah, I have one here.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yeah, on page 5 of 10, on 18504, the HDR engineering review for Pine Street number 2 for 3486, and below that, it says that, so we billed them, they paid us with this check back, is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a wash. You know, we went through this before. We pay HDR,
Yeah.
and then the owner, Squires, pays us back.
Okay,
So it's no cost to the town.
correct.
Yeah.
Is that what that means, they paid us a check back? Okay. The reason I brought this up was in May, we had 2 claims that we paid for out at Twin Creek, you remember that? Did we ever get paid back for that?
Yes.
That would not show up on your end?
Because we're not paying them,
Yeah.
they paid us.
So whenever, Councilmember Michaels, whenever that happens, because HDR is the engineer, that was for the review for Pine,
Mhm.
which they're still struggling with. That's why it's so costly. But yes, we pay HDR, and then HDR bills, and then private property owners, developers pay back.
Okay, I just wanted to know if they paid us back out there for the Twin Creeks. There was 2 of them.
It is.
Okay.
Councilmember Brown.
I have a couple of questions on, under claim 18470. I see that we have a Verizon charge for the airport for 10473. I guess, where is the airport? Is it here at Town Hall?
City of Hall.
Okay, in 10473, or is that before the town got the
Is
phone?
that you? That's you. Yeah, this is June. This is a makeup. I was trying to catch up on the credit card statement reconciliation. So these are from, these actually, this one, yes, that's from June. The 18470 is for the month of June.
Okay, then also under the credit card 18493, I see that we have a radio that was ordered by Tim Sneed for $266.23. I was wondering, where is the radio?
We don't know.
And we'll be, I guess, asking Mr. Sneed, I guess. He was supposed to turn all of this stuff in, so I don't know.
And do you know what is on the Amazon order for $22?
So we have the actual, what he ordered in the office, but because everybody was using a different Amazon account, we can't return it without a receipt. And so without you know, they issue a refund, you have to go on Amazon and issue a refund. And how we kind of dealt with that whole Amazon thing is I've created a town of Stevensville Amazon account, so nobody can order anything without going through me. So then I'll be able to track it, I'll be able to order, I'm doing all the ordering for Amazon now, so that nobody will be able to order anything. If they order it, they're gonna have to return it, and then I'll order it. So,
Wonderful, thank you for that. So we're working on trying to figure out where the radio is. And then I see we have several first call and GoDaddy.
The first call is always broken out. You know, you can talk about GoDaddy or what.
sure. And you want to start?
Or Gina,
Yeah, so
Gina.
first call is, we have a monthly, bill that we pay to them, and we break it out amongst the different, departments. And so that's why you see all the different little charges, because they're broken out like that. And our monthly bill with them is $2,136. And so you'll see that broken out on several different line items when I put the payment in. You'll see like, you know, it's the same with like Spectrum. We get one bill and we break it out between all the different departments. Does that help?
Yes, it does. And then are we getting closer?
We're still
Saying
going through
bye-bye to
GoDaddy. We're still going through GoDaddy. We had to reschedule, like we said, 2 council meetings ago when we changed over to a new finance officer. So then we had to re-enter everything back into the .gov. So that was all turned back in. And they've had that about 6, maybe 7 business days now.
Okay.
So that part was finalized by them, the new letter being sent and things like that. So first call is on it with me as well, which has been great. And we just
Okay.
keep on them.
Okay, thank you very much for that
You're
update. And one last thing, under claim 18517, Optical Scientific Inc., services at the airport. That was on July 31st for $2,258.39.
Gina, could you explain that? You know,
Yeah, it's a yearly, I'm not sure, it's a year, I just saw this, it's a yearly maintenance, I guess, that they have to do at the airport. And that charge includes their travel, their hotel, their meals, and I'm sorry, I don't know enough about it yet, other than it's something that they do every year, we've been paying for it every year. I believe it's something that is it the FAA that requires it, or? Yeah, and I'll look into that further, I just didn't have time because it just came in, and I don't know, if Craig knows.
AWOS, there you go, that makes sense.
okay,
Okay.
Councilmember Michaels.
I have one question. It has to page 2 of 10 on the visa interest and late fee, 267.82. Is that to do with the reconciliation that you're trying to catch up on? Or?
Yeah, they're all reconciliations that I'm trying to get caught up
So
on.
that's why
When
we're,
I got here, yeah, we had 3, bank, reconciliations that hadn't been completed yet, and so I just look, that's what that is. So yes, we should be caught up going forward now. I've almost finished the reconciliation for this month, and we should be able, it'll come through the claims on the 24th, and I'll pay that bill on the 25th when it's due. So the goal is to make sure that, as like I was explaining earlier, the credit card receipts, these guys are amazing at getting them to me, so I enter them as they come in, so that when I get the statement, I can just post it. And then it'll be, I won't have to take a whole bunch of time to prepare it and then bring it to council to, for approval. So we should be, the late fees and all that should be taken care of.
okay. All right, thank you.
So that was kind of on the question that when you came up and was explaining to us, the Stevie hardware, the 18507, where it's broken down with the CC ones.
Yes.
Is that your receipts that you're talking about in your department? Or could you explain that to everybody what that is exactly?
Yeah, so before, what was happening is that there's a few different vendors out there that would like us to pay based on the statement. Before, we were just getting the invoice and processing it for payment, therefore issuing several different checks for like Stevensville hardware. You know, if we go back and look, you'll see every claims we had Stevensville hardware. So I've been talking to all the vendors that we have and the vendors that we do have that we pay on a statement. I'm gonna include them on, it's called the credit card system that we have in Black Mountain. So you'll see that the CC means it's under the credit card system, and they call it a credit card system, but it's a way to pay claims based on a statement instead of individual claims. Does that make sense? So within the system, when you enter a bill, a claim, then it will produce a claim that has a separate check, okay? But if you put it under one, like if I put all of the claims that we have out for Stevensville Hardware, which you can see there's a lot, I'll write one check at the end of the month. So that's what the CC means, because now they're tracking it differently. Does that make sense? The system tracks it differently.
So with seeing that, are we still gonna see, because obviously we're gonna have questions when those come through.
Yes,
Are we still gonna see it in this form?
yes. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't, that's how the system prints it out.
No, it's good.
Yeah,
I would rather see that than to have one statement come through and not seeing those.
oh no, you'll see everything that's included on that statement.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Any other? Seeing none, Janelle, please take the vote.
Councilmember Barker,
I,
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowell,
Aye.
and Councilor Michelson.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Fire department?
So you do have the rundown breakdown in your packet. We had 75 calls for service during the month of July. 28 in town, 43 within the district. 4 mutual aids. Mutual aids were some pretty substantial mutual aids that we gave. 58 medical responses, 13 were fires and 4 crashes for the total of 75. Current year to date, we're 394 requests of service. So we're on par, pretty much track where we are pretty much annually. So nothing big and exciting about out of line there at all. We raised about $4,200 in Fill the Boot the other morning, so that was very good. We, Stevensville community, we are 48th in the top 50 out of the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. We rate as the Fill the Boot campaign 48th in the highest. We beat out Bellevue, Washington last year. In what the community was able to donate, so that's very nice stuff. We appreciate the opportunity to go out and do that. Other than that, pretty much business as usual. We did get set up in the event that a Forest Service came to the airport. We're ready to take that on. We've got people lined up to make that happen if that does come out. So we're on track for that. Other than that, it's pretty much where we are. We got a little housekeeping in the door. We need to talk with the mayor with some stuff we need to get rid of. It's just old and needs to go away. We just need to make it happen, but we'll visit about that.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Jeff. So with the new facility, medical facility being out at
Mhm.
on the highway, how often are you guys still responding ambulance-wise? Are you still,
Out to there or
just in general?
in general?
Obviously, with them being closer, I know you had the one down at the post office today. Would we remove that one?
They did.
Okay, so that's, is
So-
that there?
Yeah, so they're housed out across the river now, so their response time to anything east of the river is actually longer than it used to be, and the town is actually longer than it used to be, for them to get there, to get on scene. We're still responding in conjunction with them. We are not going to their facility as often as we were when they started. When they started, their whole phone system was ran through Missoula County. So Missoula County 911 was paging someone to, it was just a mix up thing. And they got that all straightened around here, so we're not running out there unless S5 is actually gone from the facility. Then we will go out there, or if they need us, we'll go out there, of course. But yeah, we're not responding out to their facility nearly as often as we are, but we still are responding in conjunction with them. And yeah, it didn't speed up their response times at all. I mean, we're on scene before they are more frequently now than before, because they got to come all the way across the river to go up Millby or wherever we're going, so.
So, and then I just have one more question. I know you've got several people that have joined the fire department. How is that coming along for recruiting wise?
It's coming along well. We brought on 2 gals, and joined in right in, and they're working hard and doing great. We have 2 more interviews coming up, and then possibly another one that we picked up from Friday night down at Creamery Park, so
Okay.
we'll see how that goes.
So one little thing that, as a council member, I would like to see is when you do bring on new people, we see the applications, but we'd like to see a face, or I would like to see a face to that person if we can get them here.
Can do that,
That'd be awesome.
that's easy.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I don't know where Mac went, he might look at the sidewalk painting. So, Steve Cruz is out of town, Mac is in the other room. Gina's here, no building department, so we'll go to new business. Discussion decision allowing inflatable bounce houses or similar inflatable apparatus on town of Stevensville property. In your packet, you should have a letter from MIA, which basically says they don't cover us. Then it talks about what you have to do, so I guess it's a decision you need to make. If you can make a motion. Councilmember Michaelson.
I make a motion to allow inflatable bounce houses or similar inflatable apparatuses on the town of Stevensville property.
Okay, Councilmember Parker.
I second the motion.
Okay, is there any public comment? Go ahead.
You were before me, unless you want me to go first.
So as a coordinator of events here in Stevensville, we have insurance that covers anything that could potentially happen. I read the memo that came out that was part of the packet. One of the recommendations that I would make as part of the motion is that whoever is the purveyor of the inflatable bounce houses adds the town of Stevensville as a payee in the event of any type of accident or what have you. Okay, that was it.
Go ahead.
My name is Nicole Sylvester, my address is 343 Sullivan, and I'm actually here as the new owner of Bitterroot Bouncers. My husband and I purchased it in hopes of serving the community here in Stevensville where we live. We do carry our own insurance as well as coverage to any property that we set up on. The Creamery is the only one that hasn't requested that we provide a certificate of liability insurance for anything that we have set up here on town property. I have copies if anyone wants those that I don't know who might, that were provided to the people who reached out to me to rent and set up there. They had coordinated with the town to have that happen, and I don't know if maybe those weren't being provided all the way back to you guys, but we do provide that insurance and have that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, any discussion, questions? You have a motion and a second. Obviously, if you do move forward with this, we'd have to go with that language. So, any other discussion? Councilmember Michelson.
So on these bounce houses, are they just like for creating special events, or that's something that's gonna be down there all the time?
No, they're rented either by private individuals. So we've had a company here in town and then the school as well this year that we've set up for. They pay for the rental purchase, Creamery, those types of events. We pay as a vendor to come in and then do a pay to play, so we charge individuals to use the equipment. So it's not something that would be set up for long periods of time or just randomly ever.
And they would be supervised by you guys into?
For events, we do. For rentals that are done by individuals or groups, they are required to designate responsibility, and they sign a waiver for that we have, that has been approved by our insurance company, saying that they are going to designate a responsible person to monitor and make sure that everything is in proper working order and people are following the rules as they're using it.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion, Councilmember.
Just one question, so we will be adding one of the 2 paragraphs to our special
If
use?
you approve this, we're gonna have to, because
Yes.
MIA doesn't cover us. So, with your motion, if you approve this, I would add that to your motion, that you would need to add that language. Okay? Okay,
Mayor?
yep,
And you guys both saw that there's 2 samples. The second sample really does lay out the same pieces that we use for special event permits, that 1.5 million or more in coverage, which is like what you guys carry, what Civic Club carries, and so that's probably has more relation back to other events and other times that we ask for that same type of coverage, just a suggestion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to, I guess, to approve it with that specific language.
Do we need to state the specific language in these? Or would we use this as the language that we're going to go with?
I would prefer that we use exactly what MNIA
Yeah,
put
I would-
together
I
for
would
us,
say
that usually works the
like
best for all of us, so.
Okay.
Okay. All right,
You guys ready?
bounce on here. Janelle, you want to take a vote?
Councilmember Barker,
Aye.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowell. Aye. Councilmember Michelson.
Aye.
Okay, passes 4-0. I think the only board report we have is the airport.
One more business.
Oh, I'm sorry, lighting district. Okay. B, special decision resolution number 520, a resolution establishing lighting district taxes for FY 23-24. Councilmember Michaels.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 520, a resolution establishing the lighting district taxes for the fiscal year 23-24.
Okay, Councilmember Barker.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Just to point out, you see that there's a 5% increase, and then you have the reserve. What it basically does, it's up from last year, but it's still down from the year before. And the simple math is cost of electricity. So the reserve, we don't know what's gonna happen with Northwest Energy. We don't know if they're gonna go up 28%. I can give you an example for myself where I live. It would be $7.92 a month for this tax.
Increase?
No,
Just
total
total,
a month,
a month.
yes. Like for, which one are you in, Mr. Michelson?
It's George Smith.
George Smith, you go up $200, no. You would be $3.65
A month?
a month.
Oh, there goes my latte money.
The one that always is higher, for some reason, is Twin Creeks. They must have more lights.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty bright over there.
Very
Okay, so that's what that is, and if you approve this resolution, we were gonna do the levies, but the levies were late to the counties, my understanding from the state. There's been all this confusion about the property tax issue. So we hope to do that next meeting. So that's why you don't have the levies. So that's lighting districts. I think, did I ask for public comment? Lighting districts? I don't see any further discussion. See none, Janelle, please take the vote.
Councilmember Barker,
Aye.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Lowell,
Aye.
and Councilmember Michelson.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Let me double check here, Councilman Myers, I want to make sure. George Smith Lighting District, per lot, average, $43.80 a year. Very good. Passes 4-0. Okay, now, I think the only board report we have is here.
So we had the airport board meeting on Tuesday night. The gate is back up and running. It was discovered there was a bad breaker with REA for Valley Electric. So it is back up and it is working correctly now. Couple things that was discussed was a presentation for a resolution of changing the resolution for the airport board, and that's might be on the next council meeting. The volunteers And I would like to thank all the people up there at the Stevensville Airport who have come together as a group and just taking over and taking care of things. One big person involved in that is Craig Thomas. He's done, thank you, Craig, for getting things up and going. So they're looking at doing a volunteer task schedule. And there is some apps out there, and they're going to check into it. One is like Sign Up Genius that we use down at the mission. And it allows people who volunteer to sign up. And then if they have a problem making that time, they can put it out there, and it goes to everybody saying, hey, I can't make it. And it's a pretty good program. They're checking into that. We had an updated report about the gravel pit. There did get some more information from the county on that. They're going to go back through our board meeting and try to come together and make things work on the gravel pit. And they are going to start checking into the fuel prices at the airport because they seem to be at our airport extremely high.
Okay.
For fuel, that's about it.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to council comments. Councilmember Marks.
I'd like to thank the town staff who did a great job on the last weekend for the creamery. It was really well done. And the next day, I think Mr. Gibson put out a memo about how nice it looked around town. When I did my walk in the morning, there was people all over picking up stuff. And they were doing a great job. Yeah, I see you, Patrick Shore.
It was all volunteers.
It was really well done. I want to thank everybody. That's the quickest, fastest I've ever seen a cleanup done after a creamery in a long time. So, thank you.
It was pretty big. Kids, I think, if I may, didn't you have groups that you support that were helping you, kid groups? Because I saw them out there with gloves picking up everything from cigarette butts.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We went back to some of the groups that had been requesting donations and said that we do that, but we wanted some help. So we had football team showed up for prep with 27 guys, 4-H club showed up with 18, one of the soccer teams showed up with 12, and we had all the heavy lifting and the big cleaning done in less than 3 hours.
Yeah, it was great.
I had a team on Main Street and a team in the park.
Thank you. Yeah, our park people commented on that last year. I think it took them quite a while.
Well, in
This year
comparison,
didn't take them very long at all.
in comparison, last year, we only had 6 people show up to clean the park, and we had nobody volunteer to help clean up the street. So it's funny what happens when you
Thank
take
you.
a check.
Good job. Thanks. Any other council comments? Councilmember.
I just would like to see, if we can get the curb line cleaned up along Father River Valley Park. The weeds are about 4 feet tall and they haven't been mowing on the street side. Their kids are going to start using that as soon as school starts because they have the little soccer people and then they have the football teams down there. And it would just be nice if it would looked a little bit better. And the fence is still broken down there too.
I'll give it.
And we have one tree that's half dead.
I'll give it public works.
Thank you.
Councilmember Burke.
I just want to say, being down on Main Street on Creamery, it was very nice to have the lighting. It was very big to have the whole street, and there was not a black spot there. So thank you to Northwestern Energy for coming out and putting those in there, because obviously it was one of those many concerns from different people throughout the public. Very well lit, and I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Really not much in the executive report. Like I said, we're trying to get to the point where we start to work on the budget. We had to wait for the levies and the revenue. We're getting closer. Hopefully to start that by the end of August or the 1st September. We're planning on next meeting, but we kind of got delayed. We don't want to give you false revenue from the levies. I think it's going to go, I think it'll only go up. I think it was, again, I could be wrong. think it was 336,000 maybe last year, it'll probably go up to about 350. That's the confusion about the property taxes. They're really not gonna go up as high as it appears. They showed my house valuation going up by $200,000. But that's not what the taxes are gonna be based on. So with that, we're adjourned.
How you been?
$75,000.
Hi.